You're listening to Evergreen Media Network. I am Cindy Schwartz. This is the Patient Partner Show. We're also a podcast, so look us up on Spreaker and you can listen to the episodes. Jeannie Roller and I talk about healthcare issues, hospital issues, patient issues. You know, we talk about informed consent, patient rights. It goes on and on and on. And we got involved with it because it happened to us. And so we never thought this was even possible. Like so many people that tell us, Jeannie, that this does not happen. It is, you're basically liars, and we wouldn't do this in this medical system, and on and on and on. So you have another story that you would like to share, sadly, about an incident that has happened to a gentleman in a doctor's office, I believe. So go ahead, Jeannie.
Well, it's one of these stories, Cindy, that they tell us do not happen. It does not happen. They say that patients are violent towards medical people, but they never admit that medical people can be violent towards patients. But anyhow, there's this guy, and he wrote an article, and he owned an ER staffing agency. They staff doctors for ERs. And he was called by a hospital administrator because of the complaint by a patient about one of his doctors that he had on staff. And the patient had come to the ER for pain, and the ER doctor screamed at him to leave. And when this patient refused, the patient said that the ER doctor dragged him out by his feet. And then in the process, his shoe came off, and the doctor threw the shoe at him, and the doctor was yelling and screaming at him. Well, this guy said, I was stunned. He said, usually, he knew this doctor. He was well liked by other doctors, and he was a favorite of the nurses. But he said he would investigate and follow up. Well, that night he went to ER and talked to this doctor, and this doctor denied every part of the story. This guy went ahead and he talked to the nurses that were on duty and the security officer that was involved, and they all pretty much had the same story as the doctor. So he apologized, and next morning he went to see the hospital CEO and told him what he had found. And the CEO, I guess, he listened carefully and took notes with special interest. He seemed impressed that he had just not taken the physician's word, but he had talked to other people involved. And then this guy said when he was finished, and the CEO stopped him and pulled out his phone. He turned the screen towards this guy and played a video there in high definition. This guy saw the ER doctor sitting at a desk above a security camera, and then he saw what happened. He saw that a man came up, and he appeared to be talking to the doctor. The doctor ignored him, and then finally the doctor gets up and starts yelling and screaming at the man. It catches the man off guard, and he falls down to the floor. And at that point, he sees the doctor grab this guy by his feet, drag him down the hall, past the nurse's station, and to the ambulance entrance where his shoe came off. And then the doctor throws it at him. And then this guy said to the CEO, I will take care of it. Well, the doctor was immediately removed from the schedule, and he was ordered to take treatment for substance abuse and anger management.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Now,
the CEO fired the security guard and the 3 nurses because they lied.
Okay.
Which is commendable to me. I didn't think this kind of stuff happened, but it was commendable. But we're always told, Cindy, that this stuff cannot happen, does not happen.
Right.
But yet here's a guy who staffed ERs with doctors, and he's telling, yes, it does happen.
Yeah. And so, kudos that there was proof, because that's what we've talked about this since we started this podcast, Jeannie, that we want to have in a surgery in an OR, and there's plenty of people that are educated to do this. I mean, I would gladly have paid $100, $200 an hour to have somebody that I hired, RN, advanced practice RN, anything like that, physician assistant, to be in that surgery with me as my witness and my help, so I would have gotten better care. I would have gotten good care. And you feel the same way. Why can't we have this as our own personal advocate? Because when you're left to their devices, none of this happens. But yet here's a clear example that it did because it's on video. Now I'm going to go out on that limb and say, if there wasn't a video, what would have happened? In our
Yeah,
cases,
would've been
that's what
guessed it.
happened to us, right? There's no video, or if there was, they quashed it or whatever they did with it because they say they videotaped the stuff they did in my instance. Sign here on the bottom line, that's what's going to happen. And when I asked about my video, oh, no, we didn't do any of that. So because I was saying these are the things that happened. I mean, you can read the rest of my records of stuff that they did to me. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. And in the same in your case. So I'm glad that that one came through and they did the right thing. And I also want to add, I can't mention any names, but I do know people that are in the profession that are psychologists and those type of people that have told me they can't come on the show because it's privileged information, a lot of the stuff, that those things that you're talking about, anger management with doctors and nurses and substance abuse and all that, is certainly legitimate.
It is.
It's legitimate.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, but the thing is, Cindy, then I start wondering, well, did the patient file a suit? If the patient filed a lawsuit, was the video available to the patient? My opinion is it probably wouldn't have been.
Yeah, I know that's kind of a sticky situation to get in. I get all of that, with the malpractice. I do say, though, at the end of the day, I don't want to see anybody abused. The person certainly went to an ER to get care, which that is why the ER exists. I mean, as far as I know. But the problem was taken care of quickly and in the right manner. And to me, that makes all the difference. I don't want to see anybody walking into an ER getting abused and have their hit them with a shoe or dragging them out. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But at least it was dealt with quickly and in the right way, I think. So kudos to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my mind, too, then I went further and I thought, well, the nurses who were fired for lying, how easy was it to get another job? Probably pretty easy, because the nursing boards tend, at least from what I've seen, not to take stuff seriously because they need the warm bodies in the hospital, so they tend to overlook. So did they go on to another hospital?
Well, we don't know that part. I mean, that's the slippery slope. You can go down that slope.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be totally wrong about that, Jeannie. No offense. I could be totally wrong about, some of the stuff that I say too. But I say it was dealt with fairly and quickly, and, good for them. I mean, it's not always about suing somebody, and, that's kind of where the sticky situation is. Where do you draw that line? I mean, only as that certain person, what you want for your retribution may not be the right word, but to settle the dispute, if you will. I mean, I would have settled for them owning up to what they did to me. But that never happened, the same as you. I mean, I wasn't looking to sue anybody. It wasn't about money as far as I was concerned. It was about, I don't want the next guy getting this same thing happening to them, and I know what happened to me, and just the willy-nilly of us and the lying on their part. So I'm glad that this one did work out the right way. So I think more people, you and I, Jeannie, have people come up to us and tell us, keep doing this podcast, keep giving these stories out, keep talking about this stuff and getting this some notoriety, because it is happening. And if you don't talk about, and you want to talk about it when it happens too, when you don't want to keep it bottled up inside. You want to get it evened out in your own mind. I know the PTSD is horrendous. For anybody that's ever had it, is absolutely horrendous to deal with it. You don't even get sleep. I know you didn't, Jeannie. I didn't. I want to say for 2 years I never slept right after this because I just couldn't believe it. So the more people maybe that we can help or we can share the stories with, they can formulate their own system on how they want to go and remain to get medical care, because you do need it. I mean, it's, our bodies break down. We need help. Mentally and physically, we need help. And, there are alternatives. One of my pet peeves is, why does insurance only cover these specific things? Why can't I have acupuncture and other things that I choose to have that does work just as well, if not better?
Yeah.
So, that's a good story that shows that, that particular instance, wow, they did the right thing by it. They really did. And I hope that patient got some good care somewhere else. And again, if you feel like you're in a situation like that, leave. Just leave. You don't owe that facility anything. If you possibly can. I know sometimes you can't leave, but if you can possibly do it, schedule it somewhere else. On that note, stay listening to Evergreen Media Network.